Alrighty guys, what is going up? I hope you guys are all having a great and amazing day today. Now in today's episode, we're going to be talking about, is the stock market going to crash again? So I hope you guys enjoy it, and if you guys do, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Honestly, it really helps me out, so make sure you guys do that. But before we actually jump into it, go ahead and check out my course. It's $5. We talk about how to properly invest in the stock market. It's definitely worth it. You guys will not regret it. First link down below. So now let's jump into it, roll the intro, let's go. So we all know in mid-March, the stock market did fall around 42%. And honestly, it was kind of expected just because unemployment rate went from like 3% to 16%. Only essential workers were working. People were literally living off stimulus money. The government was taking trillions of dollars in debt. Interest rates were falling. It was just like such a weird time. But overall, recently, we've had the stock market hitting highs, which I understand that sounds crazy because unemployment rate still is at like 8% and not all people are working. Some companies are taking on ungodly amounts of debt. Airlines just laid off like 50,000 employees, and so it's just kind of a weird time. But I want to give you guys this little fact. Now in 2008 and in the Great Depression, the stock market formed what you call a double bottom. What this means is the stock market falls, boom, and forms one bottom, gets some buying pressure, and then forms two bottoms. Okay, so overall, it's just kind of like two different crashes. And I want to show you guys and kind of tell you guys how this could happen again, and then I'll give you guys my opinion on if it will. Number one, a second wave of the virus. I just want you guys to take a minute and think about, honestly, what would happen if there was a second wave? Imagine all the companies that would just go under. Imagine all the people that would be laid off. Imagine what the government would have to do. Imagine all the debt businesses would have to take on. Imagine all the debt people would have to take on to get through this hard time. Overall, there'd probably have to be a second stimulus package come out to get people to spend money again. I just want you guys to honestly think about it. I don't think it would be very good, and I think it would overall cause a double bottom in the stock market. Number two, unemployment rate. Yes, I understand. Things are way better than they were in March, but that was in March when things were locked down and everything was honestly terrible. It was like somebody took a pause button to the whole United States and just said, don't do anything. Beep. Now, unemployment rate is still very high. Just because it's at 8% doesn't mean things are back to normal. 8% is still very high in the whole unemployment rate. So if things stay at the way they are, I think overall we could have another crash just off that. Number three, no second stimulus package. Now, right now, a lot of people are still not working. You know, we have the whole travel industry that's literally shut down. Imagine all the companies and all the businesses that rely on overall tourists. They're probably closing shop. They're probably laying off employees. Airline just laid off employees. The cruise lines are taking on ungodly amounts of debt to get through this. I just think it's a terrible time. I think maybe, yeah, we should have another stimulus package to get through this hard time. And I think that would overall keep the whole economy afloat. Number four, overvalued stock. Right now, there are hundreds of stocks that are overvalued just off price points, just off price to earning ratios. It's honestly mind-boggling to me because people are investing into these companies that are just overvalued, and it's just a matter of time before the bubble pops. It reminds me a lot of the internet boom. Now, everybody wanted to get into a tech stock because they thought it was going to be the future, but those tech stocks weren't making any money, so people were like, well, I'm not going to hold a stock that's not making money, so they sell their shares, which makes the stock fall. I think this could happen again. And overall, that would not be very good, so just something to be a little worried about is overvalued stock. Number five, the election. A lot of people say that if Joe Biden gets in office, we're going to have an overall crash because he's going to raise corporate taxes anywhere from 22 to 28%. And honestly, I think it's just one of those things where none of us can do anything. It's just a matter of seeing what happens with the market and seeing what happens with this presidential election. Because I don't want to give any politics on here because I don't really care about that. But it's just something to be worried about and to understand that he has said that he is going to raise corporate taxes. So I just want you guys to completely understand everything so we can all make some money. Now, the last and final thing I want to talk about is debt. Right now, the government is taking on ungodly amounts of debt to get through this hard time. And honestly, I think it was kind of necessary to do, but it reminds me a lot of like what happened during the Vietnam War. The government was spending so much money during the Vietnam War to get through that war that it took on large amounts of debt, which made overall interest rates jump like to 17%, but I think it's just not the best thing to take on debt. It really isn't, but it's just something to be aware of, that around 22% of all cash right now was made this year. Let that sink in. 22% of all cash right now was made this year. 22%, which is a lot. Now, I just want to give you guys my opinion here. Do I think there is going to be another crash? Probably not. Do I think there could be a correction? Probably and maybe. Corrections happen really once a year, and I think it would be kind of healthy and good for the whole stock market to have a correction, make those undervalued stock get back to fair territory, make a lot of things just kind of calm down in the stock market. I think it would be very good and very wise if it did that. Because then, as long-term investors, we could get in maybe on some good opportunity and make some money here in the long term. But overall, guys, I think it's something to be well aware of, that the stock market does and has had double bottoms, and those were the reasons why it would, and I gave you guys my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys got anything of value, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys tomorrow in another episode. Remember to stay happy, stay positive, and overall stay safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.